Podcast City Network.
Hey guys, this is Chris, and we are back here on Final Score, another exciting episode 18. We're getting there. We're now officially legal to... Oh, wait, too soon for that. We're not there yet.
Too soon
Anyways,
for that.
But I am here with my great co-host, Craig. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, man. Coming off a pretty good day. It's a pretty good day so far today.
Yeah, I heard you had a pretty exciting day, which we'll touch on a little bit later. But
getting Final Score out and about, getting in other parts of the sports world. So
that's right. We like
lot
to
of fun.
dabble our fingers into a lot of pies. Not American Pie style, though. But anyways, we're going to get by all that, though. But make sure that you follow us on
American Classic.
American Classic, it is. Just like Final Score. And to make sure that you keep up with Final Score, you need to go on social media, on Facebook and on Twitter, at PCN Final Score. Give us a like, give us a follow, drop us a line. We're sure to hit you back. And we've actually been getting a little bit of traffic in that manner lately, too. It's been pretty nice, and we love talking to you guys. So definitely make sure to go check us out. And, of course, we're on all these crazy platforms like these. Boom! Right there. We're on Google Play Music, Podbean, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and, of course, Spotify. But we're now on a new platform that's out there now. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yet another avenue to find Final Score.
Exactly. Yet another avenue to find us. So all that you have to do, it's very, very simple. All you have to do is go online on your phone, of course, Google Play Store or on the Apple Store, download Podcoin and get paid to listen to podcasts. Oh, like ours, Final Score. All you have to do is go on to, like I said, on the Apple Store or onto your Google Play Store, go search Podcoin, give it a download, create your free account and get paid. It's, I think, one Podcoin for every 10 minutes that you listen. So definitely go check it out. And there's also this cool thing. Instead of just getting paid, you can flip that money to your favorite charity, which is always nice to give to charity. So definitely go on there. And then you can also use promo code Final Score, one word, and get yourself 200 free Podcoins.
And you get 160 just for setting up as well. Just
for setting up.
I set mine up within this last week. Actually, you get some free Podcoins, and they'll pay out in the form of gift cards, and of course, donating to charity. It's a very cool, very unique way to listen to podcasts.
Yes, it definitely is. And what better way than to get paid to listen? I mean, that's awesome. Why not?
You would actually get paid more to listen to us than we get paid doing the show.
Just saying, and we should talk to somebody about that at some point.
We got to get Chris Carnage on the phone again, but not right now.
Oh yes,
not
it's
right
too
now.
soon. We're just starting. We have too much to talk about.
We had an event at City Limits Tap Room last night, and I heard you were there with him. I don't think we want to call him right now.
You know what? He probably would be very upset if I called him.
He would be very upset.
He wasn't. He was very fluid last night. Let's put it that way. He was kind of all over the place. I know if I called him, he probably would immediately drive over here and probably take me to Suplex City. And
you don't want
with
that.
what I went through last night at that show, I just cannot do that.
Yeah, we don't want that. No, definitely not.
No, we definitely don't want that. But make sure that you definitely go check us out on Podcoin. Go get yourself those free coins and get paid to listen to us. It's always awesome. And remember, promo code Final Score. But we've had a lot going on though in the way of sports, and some of it is so new and late breaking that we literally found things out right before we went on air.
Yeah, we actually delayed the start time for when we were going to record because of this news.
Yes, it's huge news, and if you have not found out, we're going to dive into the NBA because Anthony Davis is now on the move and has been traded to the Los Angeles Lakers.
So the details of this trade, Anthony Davis obviously going to the LA Lakers. He is the only piece that goes to the Lakers.
Yes, one piece,
player.
just
and
one.
New Orleans, in return, will get Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, and 3 first-round picks, one of which is going to be this year's number 4 pick for the Lakers. So now the Pelicans are going to have not only number 1, they're going to have number 4 also. 2 picks in the top 5.
My
This
goodness.
could really change the trajectory of the future of the Pelicans franchise.
Oh, absolutely. And especially when you include in, like I said, you got Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, and Brandon Ingram coming in. Definitely could help bring a nice little nucleus around what will presumably be the first pick in the draft, Zion Williamson. So the Pelicans have a lot to look forward to going into this upcoming season.
Definitely, there's a lot of hope on the horizon for the Pelicans. Obviously, this year is going to be a feeling out year. You're going to be, having a lot of new players come in, and it's probably going to be a down year. But
More than likely.
we were talking about this before the show. Watch out. The Pelicans are going to be crazy, stupid good in like 2 years.
Oh, yeah. In 2 years' time, once you build that team chemistry, be able to get in the type of offensive, defensive sets that you want to be able to get in, this team is going to explode in a way into success that they haven't seen in probably ever.
In New Orleans, probably, yeah, like you said, probably ever. But it's a great deal for 2 reasons.
Mm-hmm.
For the Pelicans, you obviously get Anthony Davis out the door, who was going to leave you anyway.
Yes.
And you get not only 3 first-round picks, which we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, that I said if I were Dave Griffin, I'm going to ask for a minimum 3 first-round picks. Lo and behold, the Lakers were going to pay it because the Lakers will do anything to try to get butts back in the seats and be the Lakers. You know what I mean? Like the brand Lakers.
And you know what's funny is that I try to fight you tooth and nail on this. I thought there was no way they're going to give up that much talent and 3 first-rounders, and alas, I'm not going to say it. I can't say that you're actually right, but this is the closest you're going to get to me saying that you're actually right without me saying that you're actually right.
Never underestimate Rob Pelinka.
And then the amount of stupidity that he has. But at the end of the day, though, the Pelicans are going to be sitting super pretty, setting up for their future. But looking on the flip side, this leaves the Lakers, I feel like, really, really thin in their roster. Now, obviously, they're going to try and make moves. We're just getting into the offseason. We just got to crown our new champions less than a week ago, which we'll be onto that in a minute. But I feel like now all you really have is LeBron and Anthony Davis. What else does the Lakers really have at this point?
At this point, they're still going to go out and try to get a big name free agent.
Mm-hmm.
It's really going to be interesting the route they want to go. I would think that they're going to get a guard, like a point guard, someone to help out LeBron as far as taking the load on the offense.
Mm-hmm.
There have been a few names that have been thrown out there for the Lakers, but they're going to go out and they're basically going to treat this like LeBron's time in Cleveland, where his second stint in Cleveland, where he came in and he's like, hey, this is what I want. I want players that I want and that I want to play with, and then we'll fill out the rest of the roster with veterans. Now that Anthony Davis is there with him, I think it's going to be a lot easier for LeBron to recruit other big name players, even veterans, to come in and play for them. If it was just him, that's a very tall order because you know how difficult it can be at times to play with LeBron unless your name is, say, like a Kyrie Irving who has played with him before and they've been successful on the court. Off the court, those two, didn't really get along until supposedly this last year.
Well, one thing I kind of look at too is that with LeBron's ego, not that it's as bad as we've seen with some other players, but he still has one nonetheless at this point, to an extent.
To be a superstar player in the NBA, you have to have some level of an ego.
Yes, and I absolutely agree. You do. However, with that being said, Anthony Davis also has his own, having also been the star player of his franchise for the longest time. Are these two going to be able to really mesh together and come together and see eye to eye for this franchise?
Yes.
Seems like a question that might have stumped him a little.
No, it's a difficult question to answer because thinking about those two styles of play, LeBron has always been a facilitator, but the more you'll notice, you even noticed it last year, his 3-point attempts went up dramatically.
They definitely did.
Anthony Davis now has expanded his range in the last couple of years. Now he can shoot the 3 as well. Both of them can play in the post, but I think this will be really unique on the offensive end in the pick and roll. they're
definitely.
going to be. It's going to be almost unstoppable because you know what LeBron can be like. He's a freight train coming down the lane.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get in front of him. If you go to double team him, okay, now you have to rotate a guy over to cover Anthony Davis, which is now going to let somebody else be open. So you basically have to surround those two with shooters, which was the issue last year, which has been the issue with LeBron teams in the past, which is why the year that they won the title in Cleveland, they were one of the highest three-point shooting teams with the Warriors in the league because of how LeBron plays. He's very downhill. You got to have a lot of shooters around him because he himself is not a reliable knockdown three-point shooter all the time. He gets hot. He's got to get going a little bit, and he likes to work inside out.
Definitely. But the big thing I look at, too, is the play side I don't think will be too much of a thing. I think they'll find a way to make it all work. Like you said, get some more shooters around there. That'll probably end up solving the issue. But I look at it more from a leadership standpoint. Is this LeBron's team, or does this become Anthony Davis's team?
Absolutely LeBron's team. It's still until the day he retires, whatever team he's on, it's his team. He's the star player. He's the go-to player. He's the head coach. He's the GM. He might as well be the team owner.
So he's just the whole organization.
He might as well be, because that's the way he's run. And outside of Miami, where they had very strong leadership with Pat Riley and Spoelstra and other veterans on the team.
Yes, great leadership there.
Notice when he was in the latter half of his first stint in Cleveland and the second whole stint in Cleveland, where he basically held that franchise hostage and said, I want these players, or I want this, I want that. And if you don't deliver it to me, I'm only signing 1-year deals every year from here on out until you do it, which I think was a kind of a punk move on his part.
Oh,
but
definitely.
it's also forcing the hand of the Cavaliers to not sit back how some owners do. Okay, we got this guy. We're not going to spend anybody else.
Right.
Looking at places like the Hornets, for instance, where they don't spend a lot of money, not because they necessarily don't want to, but they don't have it or they don't want to, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, but looking at how with the Lakers ownership, you got Jeannie Buss sitting at the top with Rob Pelinka making all these decisions, and now Frank Vogel being your head coach. I don't see that. This is definitely not a Miami situation. Miami was very special in that way when they still had Pat Riley and all these great, like you said, these great veterans and people have been involved in the game for so long, involved in the front office and management and the coaching. But with this, I don't think they're going to have as great of a grip. Now, Frank Vogel, though, is a great coach. I think he'll be able to have a lot more influence than, say, Luke Walton did. But at the same token, you still have Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss. So where do things end up going from here?
They're basically going to go through LeBron and AD for all moves from here on out, especially with Magic being out of the picture now. They're absolutely going to go through LeBron and say, hey, who do you want? Like, we're looking at making moves. Who's your wish list? What's this? Like, this is what we're working with. The one big difference between the Cleveland Cavaliers, say, and the Lakers, or even the Heat and the Lakers. The Lakers will spend any amount of money to get what is needed.
That's true.
Because we talked about the Lakers, they're one of the few teams in the NBA that is they're a brand. They're not just a team, they're a brand.
Definitely.
So they have basically a reputation to uphold. I think the Knicks are kind of the lower tier of that upper echelon as far as it's a brand, not necessarily just a team.
Especially being in a big market like New York. And the things they've done, too, in history.
And that's the other thing, too, is that it is in one of the largest markets in the U.S. So they will do whatever it takes. They're not. It's not going to be like Dan Gilbert, where it's like, I like this, but I don't want to spend that much money, so I'm going to get this guy instead. Lakers will go, oh, you want him? Okay, we're going to go get him any means necessary, i.e., example number one, Anthony Davis.
Very true. That and when you have LeBron telling, hey, let me get these guys, let me get them now, you better start moving, because the guy is still a great player. He's not the best player, but he's still a great player.
Anthony Davis has also made it a point that he wants to play in either L.A. or New York. And L.A. is the top of his wish list is where he wanted to play.
Definitely.
He's made it very clear. Rich Paul, his agent, has made it very clear that that's what's going to happen. So basically, they've tried to use other teams to say, hey, look, if you want to trade for Anthony Davis, you're going to have to give up all these assets to the Pelicans. Oh, yeah, and by the way, he's still going to hit free agency. He doesn't want to play for you. He wants to go to L.A.
Now, the big thing is, too, that you mentioned with these other teams, I kind of felt throughout this process that maybe more teams were going to get involved. This was going to be a little bit more drawn out, and we were really going to see what the Pelicans could try and pull off for AD. However, we're less than a week removed from the NBA Finals, and AD is already on the move. Are you surprised at how quickly this came to be?
I'm a little surprised with how quickly this came apart, yes, but I'm not surprised that it happened as quickly as it did because of all the things I just mentioned about Rich Paul has within the last week said, hey, Boston, it's basically you and the Lakers right now of who's going to trade for AD. I'm telling you right now, if he goes to Boston, he'll play, but you're giving up all these assets. He doesn't want to play for you. He's going to go to LA anyway after next season. So I think that really scared the Celtics a little bit, but not enough until the Pelicans were like, hey, this is who we want. And the Celtics were like, okay, no way. There's no way we're giving up this much for a guy that's probably only going to be with us for 1 year.
Yeah, you're basically getting him as a 1-year rental, really, more so than anything.
But it's worked out for the Toronto Raptors.
It definitely did, all the way to an NBA title, I heard.
Yep.
But looking at this, though, we got to look at the whole summation of this. Who ultimately makes out in this deal?
It's so easy to say the Pelicans.
Oh, yeah, especially when you get three
It's so
players and
easy.
3 picks.
But I'm not going to say the Pelicans.
No?
I'm going to say the Lakers made out in this deal right now. So here's 2 ways you can look at this. Long term, yes, of course. New Orleans wins this. 3 first-round picks, 2 top 5s this year.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of a weak draft.
It is, and it will be.
But
Once you get past pick 3.
and I mean, okay, we've already talked about off air my feelings about the 3 players that were involved in this trade.
Right.
Lonzo could be great, but he's
be.
got to stay healthy.
That's going to be his biggest thing.
He's a great defender. He's long. He's athletic. He's got amazing court vision. He's got to still work on his shot and his offense as far as offensive scoring ability beyond like 15 feet. He's got to get a reliable jumper. Josh Hart is a very reliable guard that can come in and will play minutes and solid minutes. Ingram, personally, I don't see all the hype. Everyone's been hyping him. Everyone I've talked to about the situation of should Ingram be used in a piece to package other teams? He should be, because if I'm the Lakers, I think you've gotten all you can out of Brandon Ingram. I don't think I don't think his ceiling is as high as everyone thinks it is.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that, is that I went and looked into Brandon Ingram more after you said this, because this is not the first time that you've had your feelings expressed about Brandon Ingram.
I have beaten this drum for like 2 years now.
So I went through and looked at some game film from this past season and kind of watched how he plays, and you know what? I actually have to agree with you. Brandon Ingram, I think, is crap. he could still be good, and maybe in the right system he could be right, but with the Lakers, they've expended it. Under
the right coaching, development, and leadership, yes, he could be a very solid player.
Yes.
But the way that he's been playing for the Lakers, I would not be sold. If I'm the Pelicans, the things I really want are the 3 picks, and I would really want Ball, Kuzma, and then Brandon Ingram, he's a toss-in. Go ahead and throw him in, but I'm not excited about bringing him in.
Right. Well, maybe that was the big thing the Lakers were able to hold on to and actually be smart about, was keeping Kuzma.
That was a big thing, and I think the fact that they were able to keep him is going to help them out in this year. So obviously, long-term, Pelicans would win out because of the 3 first-round picks and all that.
Right.
But as far as the reason why I say the Lakers, now you have Anthony Davis, LeBron James. You still have money to spend in free agency to get a big-time free agent.
A decent amount of that.
Plus, you have the mid-level exemption still. Plus, you can get veteran minimum deals, which how many veterans that are looking for a ring are going to want to line up now that the 2 of them are there?
And especially in a big market and for a franchise like the Lakers
that will
in LA.
spend money, and you know they want to win at all costs. So I think because of that, and because now you have Kuzma, you have, I think, of the 3 players involved in the trade, of the young core of that team, I think Kuzma is the best of that group. Him, Ball, Hart, Ingram, all those guys. I think Kuzma's the best of that crop right now.
Mm-hmm.
So keeping him on your team was paramount. You got to keep him. So I think it depends on what side of the coin you want to look at. If all the players that are involved in this trade develop into great pieces for the Pelicans, absolutely. And if the Lakers keep continuing to be the train wreck that they have been this last year, of course the Pelicans are going to win out. But I think if you're the Lakers right now, yes, you had to give away all these assets. You are still very excited about this coming year and your chances to win a championship right now while LeBron's window is still there.
And I guess that beckons my next question to wrap all this up. Who makes the playoffs first?
Lakers. Didn't even have to finish
I can't even
that.
finish the whole question.
You didn't even have to. Multiple reasons why, but the biggest reason, the Warriors situation. They, I think, now with their uncertainty and all the injuries, even if they bring everyone back outside of like Cousins, he's obviously not coming back.
Yeah, no, Cousins ain't coming back.
But even if you bring back Clay and Durant, both of those guys aren't going to be available until the end of the regular season or into the playoffs. We've seen what Steph hasn't been able to do, putting the team on his back. So the door is now wide open in the West. Now it's wide open. And if the Lakers, even if you bring in, say, a point guard like Kemba Walker, it's not like Kyrie money, but it is still a solid player who was an all-star team. He was a third-team All-NBA this past year. Bring in him, and then I can guarantee you there's going to be the Kyle Korvers of the world, the Ray Allens of the world, the Udonis Haslams of the world, the guys that are at the end of their career, 1 year, veteran minimum, doesn't hurt you against the cap or the hard cap or the luxury tax too much. So I think that right there, they're definitely going to make the playoffs. I would not even be surprised if the LA Lakers get home court advantage in a playoff round. Now I'm not saying they're going to get the
playoff
first.
round. Okay.
They're going to. I think they're
Yeah,
going
I'm
to be
scared a little bit.
I think they're going to finish in top 1 through 4 seed this year.
Ooh, okay.
But it's not because this just happened in trade and broke today.
No.
It's going to be contingent upon what does the rest of their summer look like. Do they get another max free agent in there, or do they get a lot of veterans that are very serviceable and are good shooters? Or say, for instance, if they can get like a Tristan Thompson that he had in Cleveland.
Yeah, yes.
Guy who's not going to be a big-time scorer, doesn't want to be a big-time scorer. He wants to be the guy that plays defense and rebounds. You get a guy like him at your center or even at power forward to play alongside Anthony Davis, and then get another shooter or two, reliable shooter, put it that way.
Yeah. Keyword there.
Keyword, reliable shooter. I think the Lakers can be really dangerous next year. The potential is now there.
And that's a tall order. But the thing is, when you look at it, you ship out distractions, you ship out these young players that either weren't doing anything for you or were just barely being manageable.
And LeBron hated playing with.
Yes, and LeBron hated playing with. And I feel like with them giving up all those picks, I think it really does kind of give away their hand to the fact I feel they are going to bring in a lot of veterans. If they can't get another Supermax player, they are going to get as many veterans as they can to try and get as much cohesion and chemistry right off bat. Because I have to agree, this is probably going to be the best window the Lakers are going to have to be able to win a championship with LeBron.
Absolutely.
And I think the Lakers know that too. And they're trying to do everything they can.
Which is why when we talked this a few weeks ago, if I'm the Pelicans, you got to ask for the universe so that way someone can give you the world. And that's exactly what the Lakers did. They knew they were going to do that. We were talking about the Celtics beforehand. The Celtics were in talks with Anthony Davis deal, but they wanted a Jason Tatum that that the Boston Celtics were not willing to give up.
Right.
But I think they were trying to use those two to outbid one another, so that way the Celtics would be like, "Oh wait, they're going to offer this. We got to offer this," and the Lakers will have to come back and offer this. though I give the Celtics a lot of credit for putting their foot down and going, no, we're out of this. Or at least we're not willing to give up this player.
Right. And I think that's good on them because honestly, Boston doesn't want to try and mortgage their whole future for one player that they're going to have for presumably just 1 year.
Yeah, and they've got a lot of good pieces that can be very dangerous. They still got now that Kyrie's out the door, you got to give big money to, or at least decent money to Terry Rozier. Mm-hmm. Rozier's on that team. Jaylen Brown has been a solid player. Jason Tatum is now going to be the guy alongside Gordon Hayward. Al Horford's a free agent this year, so we'll see if they bring him back again or if they get somebody else to take his place. But they have a lot of potential, and of course the Celtics have still a ton of picks to work with.
Yeah, and that's one thing I was looking at, that they, even in just like the first round, they still have a decent amount of picks sitting at 14, 20, and 22. So they definitely could make some noise and make some things happen in that way. Now, looking at the draft, though, as we know, once you get past pick 3, there's really not a whole lot. But once you can always find diamonds in the rough.
Right, and once you get outside the lottery, you can also find, you just got to try to find guys that either fit the style of play that you want, or they're a specific type of player. Say, for instance, you need a guy that can come in and just play defense and rebound. Or you need a guy that's going to come in and bring you energy off the bench.
Yes.
Or you need a guy that's going to come in and be a reliable knockdown three-point shooter. He's going to stand there in a corner and just knock them down all day. Mm-hmm. Those kinds of players can be found in the late first round and in the rest of the draft. So I think that potential is there for Boston, especially having those 3 picks. Maybe they package some, move up near the lottery if they find a guy they really like. Maybe like I don't know. I can't think of any players that would fit their style of play off the top of my head without looking into it too much. But yeah, there's possibility there too.
There definitely is possibilities everywhere, but it's definitely something that we'll keep track of as the summer wears on, because it's going to be a lot of things going on as we approach the NBA draft and as we get through the free agency and off-season period. It's going to be really wild. But one thing that we have to kind of bring a little closure to first, and that would be the NBA Finals. And it was very exciting all the way through. We ended up with a champion that no one fully expected. I had them coming this far, but not quite winning it. But then again, I also had them playing Houston. So, a little bit different.
That's true.
But with Golden State and Toronto ended up taking the series in Game 6, 4-2, winning on the road in the last game ever at Oracle Arena. We're going to touch on the funniness of that. And won the game 114-110 on Golden State's court to be able to win their first championship in franchise history. This is a special moment.
Very special moment. Congratulations to not only the Toronto Raptors with the city of Toronto.
Oh, they've been dying for a championship.
Country of Canada.
Yes, so Canada's first championship in the NBA.
In the NBA. Well, I mean, when your other option was the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Oof, throwing it back.
Yikes. I miss it. Can we please bring back a team in Vancouver?
Why not just another team in Canada, period? I feel like having just one is just kind of a slap in the face a little.
Not really, because, I know the Vancouver team wasn't very successful in the NBA's eyes, which is why they moved it to Memphis, but they have now a team to rally around. And they even members of their front office and their team have said it, that they feel like the NBA is like, oh yeah, you're our little brother from Canada. Like, hey, that's cool. You're there. But very, very interesting fun fact about the Toronto Raptors this year. They won a championship and they had only one player on their entire roster that was drafted in the lottery. Kawhi Leonard.
That's crazy. And they only picked him up in a trade.
And they got him in a trade. They had to give up DeMar DeRozan. I can't remember what other pieces were involved going out.
Oh, yeah, there was so much going out.
Make no mistake, yes, they got Kawhi Leonard in that deal. Picking up Danny Green was a huge pickup for Toronto because he brings versatility on defense. He's long. He's athletic. He's knockdown three-point shooter. He's going to be a guy to bring you and hit you some big shots when you need them.
Oh, definitely. But it's funny when you look back, too, that the makeup of the Toronto Raptors, you look all the way back to when Kyle Lowry actually joined the team. What was it now, 7 years ago?
7 years, yeah.
He's the only player left from that 2012-2013 team.
I'm so happy for him. Like,
I am too, honestly.
He has been through so much with this Raptors team.
Mm-hmm.
When he first got there and their ascension to the top seed in the East, and they looked like, all right, this is our year. Now this is our year. This is our year. They've had to not only get franchise firsts of winning playoff series, but they've had to run into LeBron James every single year. So now the one year that he's actually not in the East, they break through, they get to the finals, and
surprisingly,
it's so,
win it all.
Surprisingly a little bit, but they play a brand of basketball. They just play solid defense. They're a very deep team. They were actually the better team in this series from almost start to finish. I mean, almost every single game they had the lead. Every game they were dominating almost every single quarter of this series, outside of just a small handful from the Warriors. But yeah, the Raptors just played a hell of a series. They just did it. They did what they needed to do. And they're finally NBA champions.
Finally, and then your finals MVP, Kawhi Leonard, unsurprisingly, who averaged 28.5 points, almost 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block throughout the entire series. Was playing great. He shot a little over 43% on the series, almost 36% from 3 throughout the series, 171 total points throughout the series as well.
He also set, what was he, the third... I believe it was roughly about 730 points total in the playoffs, which put him third all time in most points scored in a single playoff postseason in NBA history.
Behind only, I think it was...
I couldn't remember the other two.
Michael Jordan and LeBron James, if I'm not mistaken.
I know LeBron was one of them because LeBron last year was the...
Actually, no, I'm sorry. I think it was LeBron and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I think
I think Kareem was the other one, maybe. But I know LeBron was up there. Last year's LeBron was sitting at number 2. But yeah, and then it's another fact about his Finals MVP. I thought this was crazy to think about, but Kawhi Leonard becomes only the third player in NBA history to become Finals MVP for 2 separate teams.
I heard about that. That's crazy.
You want to take a guess with who the other 2 were?
Well, one's obviously LeBron.
One is LeBron.
With the Heat and Cavaliers.
The other one, I did not guess right away. The other one I did not guess right away.
I would actually have to think about this one.
You got to think pretty tough, pretty hard about this one.
I don't even know. Honestly, I can't think of it.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I was going to say that, but I wasn't 100%.
Kareem did it with the Bucks in 71.
Oh, that's right. And then
he did it with the Lakers.
That makes sense.
The Bucks and Lakers, yep. So he becomes the third player to win Finals MVP for 2 separate teams. That in and of itself, the fact that you win multiple MVPs in the finals is a big thing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But the fact that you did it with 2 separate teams, and I think it's even more impressive because of the situation he came off of. He played last season 9 games.
Yeah, only 9.
Only 9 games, and he basically told San Antonio, I'm done. You guys say I'm clear, but I'm not healthy. I'm not playing. And then
good on him for doing that.
Then he missed, I think, 20-something games, 25 rough games this year.
Yeah.
Also, he missed about 25 games, I think, this year too. So that's even, I think, more of a bigger accomplishment for him to have the type of season that he had and to do it with this kind of a team where they gave up, they broke up essentially their core and made a lot of people unhappy in the process because they know they know what Kawhi is thinking about doing now that the season's over.
And of course, shipping out Kyle Lowry's best friend to even make this happen.
To even make this happen was a very, very tough decision. But I think it worked out well for both teams. Mm-hmm. And obviously,
Toronto gets a title out of this.
Toronto does get a title. I mean, they might not ever get another one, but hey, you got one.
Yeah,
you've got one.
More than Orlando, and we've been to more finals than you. So,
hey, one for one.
Sad days.
Toronto's 1 for 1.
They're 1 for 1. Orlando's 0 for 2.
0 for 2.
Yes. Yes. All right. So let's move on to more sadness. Klay Thompson, though.
Yeah, the other big news of this game, Klay Thompson in the third quarter tore his ACL. Was on a fast break, going up for a dunk. Danny Green went to go block it, committed a foul. He came down awkwardly on his left knee. Sat down, and as soon as it happened, you could see Steph was very visibly upset.
Oh, he was very mad.
He was so upset, as he should be. But Klay went off the court. Then they called him back because they said if he leaves the court and someone else has to shoot his free throws, that he cannot come back in the game. They didn't know how severe this was yet.
Right.
So they told him to come back just in case if it was nothing. Came back, hit his 2 free throws. Then they tried to pull him off the floor, and he was pleading with them to let him stay.
Yeah, he was running back to the other end, ready to play defense, and was, like you said, pleading for them not to let him come off.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at a guy who really was most of your team outside of Steph Curry for this series, he was 26 points on average throughout this series, had almost 5 rebounds, had 3 assists almost. The guy was playing well, but he plays great defense too. And
it hurts so much because Klay Thompson in game 6s has exploded. He had his career playoff high, I think it was 43 points in a game 6.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he had 2 of his career playoff highs in game 6s. Even in this game, he was the leading scorer in this game.
Yeah,
he didn't even play a quarter and a half.
Right, exactly. He had
didn't play
30
a full
points.
quarter.
He had 30 points in this game and played out of his mind. Was 8 of 12 shooting and 4 from 6 from 3. Dude was playing great and still goes out in the third quarter.
He doesn't get hurt.
We might be going to game 7.
If he doesn't get hurt, it's going to be. I think the Warriors they were on such a tear at that point. They were in such a roll that once that happened, you could feel it got deflating.
Oh, whole air sucked out of the arena.
Yeah, Steph Curry tried to start splitting double teams and not passing to the open man, and it just did not look good.
I think at that point, Steph Curry was just trying to take too much onto himself.
I think Klay could have gone for 45 to 50 had he stayed in, and I think the Warriors would have won, not easily, but I think they would have won by close to double digits, and we're going back for game 7.
Honestly, I'd have to agree with you because Klay was just playing out of his mind up to this point.
Klay was playing so well.
And I felt like some of it was in part, too, that he was kind of inspired by the fact that KD went down in game 5, back-to-back games. You have Golden State players go down.
And even in this game, you had Andre Iguodala had 22 points.
Yep.
That's his biggest outburst in a game in a long time. And Draymond Green, another triple-double. Very quietly. But another triple-double. He's almost averaged a triple-double in this series. I think all of those factors, we're going to game 7. Anything can happen. Yeah, it's in Toronto, but as these playoffs and in NHL playoffs have shown us this year, it doesn't matter who's the home team and who's not, because the better team is going to win no matter where they play.
Absolutely. I definitely have shown in both of these sports, and it's been crazy finals. But we finally do get to crown our NBA champions for the first time ever, the Toronto Raptors. And hats off to you. And
first championship in Toronto City's since
probably the Maple Leafs.
No, Maple Leafs were 60-something. Blue Jays, 93.
Oh, yes, that's right. I forgot about the Blue Jays.
First championship in the city of Toronto since the Blue Jays did it in 93. I think it's either 92 or 93, one of the two. But congratulations to them. Actually,
it was 93, just so you know.
It was 93. Okay.
Because they won it in 92 and 93.
That's right. So I was right.
See?
I had them both right. But yes, so 93. But congratulations to them. It's well earned by the team, well deserved for that fan base, because they've always embraced that team.
Oh, very much.
Even from its inception, but especially in the last 10 years when they've had this rise to where they were getting to that top seed almost every year. They've really gotten behind this team, and definitely well deserved for that fan base, that city. Congratulations. And now we'll see what's next.
Oh, yes. But one thing that they're immediately going to have to deal with, even before all the confetti discontinues falling and they have the parade and everything, is that their president of basketball operations, Masai Ujiri. I think I actually said that right.
You did.
See?
I am proud. I'm so proud of you.
I've been practicing.
I am so proud of you.
Yay. Anyways, reportedly, though, he was caught somewhat on video immediately following Game 6, shoving a police officer twice and allegedly punching him in the face. Now, I don't know if you've seen the video of this. I've seen the video. You can't really tell a whole lot of what happened. All you can tell is that there obviously was some kind of scuffle, not exactly sure to what extent, and a mass of executives and people get in between the two before Kyle Lowry inevitably pulls Ujiri onto the court to celebrate their NBA championship. Now, with this incident, the police department has already come out and said that they are investigating this. Now, to what extent of realism this is actually being investigated no one really knows at this point. However, do you feel that this is going to affect Ujiri leaving the team and the possible franchises that are interested in bringing him in? Absolutely
not. And we've talked about this before the show. Obviously, like you said, it's not clear what happened. From my understanding is he was trying to get on the court to celebrate, and he was being told by the police officers, they were forcibly pushing him back, is why this happened. But again, that is what I've read and understood about it. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. But I think it was instigated by the police officer, which not saying that it makes it right, but just kind of goes into the narrative of what some officers do in their position. But I think as far as to specifically answer your question, no, it has absolutely no, I think it's going to have no bearing on whether he gets an extension from Toronto or goes to Washington, which he's being rumored to get a massive deal offered to him.
Yes, that is the big rumor going on right now.
But I don't think it has any bearing on his comings or goings.
The big thing I look at with this is that you always try to find something in everything, it seems like these days. But the big thing I look at with this is that since there is no clear-cut video or proof, so to speak, of this, that I don't think much will happen. At the end of the day, I think it will get thrown out. And the big thing I look at, too, is that Ujiri's not a guy who's going to start an issue, really, with anybody. He's always been perceived to be a really easygoing, really nice guy, doesn't try to cause issues, tries to work with everybody, because at the end of the day, he's the president of basketball operations for Toronto. You are that guy, and these are the kind of things that you have to approach everything with this type of mindset of trying to make everybody work together, to have that cohesive chemistry. I don't see this having a whole lot of water. Now, I have to agree with you. I do feel like this might have been more police instigated, but at the end of the day, we really don't know. So I don't think much will happen to this because there also isn't any proof. This is coming down to he said, she said.
Correct.
Which never stands up in court.
Right.
So I really do feel this will end up being nothing. But I do feel it will come up, but I don't think it'll matter. I don't think it'll mean anything when he starts taking interviews either with other franchises or starts talking to Toronto about an extension.
I agree. I don't think it'll have any bearing whatsoever. It'll probably be over pretty quickly because of the fact, like you said, whatever, even if they do decide to press charges against him, good luck. That's not going to hold up in court.
Right.
Unless they have something that we don't, or they find something that we don't know about yet.
Well, the thing is, too, I look at Ujiri's in Canada. Like, you might have to go the whole nother route with this.
But it happened on U.S. soil. That's a little
true.
different.
Yeah, they'd end up just trying to get an extradition order and all that if that were to happen.
And it is an American-owned company that owns essentially part of the team.
You do make a valid point here.
So.
But one other thing we have to look at is rumors. And as you mentioned earlier, Washington is perceived to be one of the biggest that are trying to chase Ujiri right now, to the point of wanting to offer him a rumored 6 years, $60 million contract to leave Toronto for Washington.
Yeah. This is huge.
That's big money.
This is huge for him.
Now, with that, though, does he leave or does he stay?
I want to hear what you think first.
So this is really hard because when I look at you have a kind of a good thing going, and I think a lot of it could end up coming down to whether if Kawhi Leonard goes or stays. Because I feel they have a great nucleus that if they can hold on to a lot of these players, they might try to make another run. And why would you want to miss out on something that you spent so much to build, spent so much time, so much energy, made all these crazy moves to get Kawhi Leonard into Toronto and shipped out Kyle Lowry's best friend just so you could try and get this moment. And now you have it. Why would you want to let that go? In my opinion, from a personal standpoint, non-business, I would stay because you have to finish the job. Yes, you got your championship. Go get another. Get Kawhi Leonard to stay. Be able to turn this into the next dynasty. In a team that nobody thought would be able to achieve these type of heights anyways, why not prove everybody wrong and keep on doing it in Toronto? Now, from a business standpoint, though, 6 years, $60 million looks very, very, very enticing.
$10 million a year is pretty good.
$10 million a year? I wouldn't argue with 10 mil.
There's also another incentive that's being thrown in.
Oh, no.
Part ownership.
Ooh, now see.
They are throwing the kitchen sink at him. They want him badly.
Now see,
because of
ownership.
Because of how badly the Wizards have been underperforming and how badly they've been being run in the last few years. But
and you know, looking at it, Ujiri did turn around Toronto in a lot of ways. Maybe he would like to have that type of a task to be able to turn around Washington as well, but also being a part owner. That could be very, very enticing, and not only enticing, but lucrative.
As much as I agree with your argument of why he should stay, which I would agree from a personal standpoint, it's you build so much there and you want things to go. Let's snap back to reality. Kawhi Leonard is not staying in Toronto. Ooh. Absolutely not. Not staying in Toronto.
Yeah, I don't think he is.
He's going to the Clippers.
Ooh, look, you already called out the team he's going to. Look at you go.
So
heard it here first, fans.
Also, Ujiri, yes, the $10 million a year is they're throwing the kitchen sink at you, plus all the ownership talk, partial ownership, but your status in Toronto can't get any higher than it is right now.
Oh no, he's God level right now.
Exactly. Why tarnish that? Because Kawhi's not coming back. You are going to lose pieces in the next couple of years. I mean, you've got Gasol's not coming back. Probably he might, but he was brought in just to get this championship. His contract's expiring. Lowry's in his early mid 30s. Mm-hmm. Siakam is going to have to get paid. Ibaka is overpaid. Your legacy in Toronto. You did what you needed to do. You got them their first championship. You are on God status there right now. Why mess that up? Why not leave on a high note and everyone will understand why? Washington, yes, it's a bigger market, but you're getting paid. Now this has been rumored for a few years if he might go there anyway because his wife is from the Washington, D.C. area. But from what I've seen from experts much smarter than I, that's not really going to play a factor for him. But that's an option to look at. I think if I am him, I take it and I go because you've done all you can do in Toronto. I think this is the highest. This is the peak. This is it. I don't think it is sustainable to continue to have, as you said, create a dynasty. If Kawhi stays and you keep everyone intact, yeah, you got a chance to win it again. But after next year, you got, even in your own conference, Philly's going to be tough to deal with still.
Very.
But that's going to depend on their moves this offseason. Milwaukee's still building something great. It's a long shot. But you've got teams.
Hope, damn it.
You've got teams in the East even. Yeah, you might be able to make it out of the East now every year if those teams fall the wayside. But in the West, you still got the West to deal with. Next year, yeah, the Warriors aren't going to be the Warriors. But if they bring everyone back, the next year, you're done. Don't even try it.
And of course, we can't forget AD, LeBron, and the Lakers.
The Lakers are now a front runner. What's going to happen with the Rockets?
I was about to say Houston.
You got Houston still there. Other teams that are playing well. Denver shocked everyone this year, played really well. Portland has played really well. I mean, I think there's too many other really good teams in this league that it would prevent Toronto from winning again.
Right.
So I would leave.
Definitely could see that happening.
It would be a very, very tough decision.
Oh, absolutely.
But I would leave.
Because the thing I think it would probably end up really coming down to all at the end of the day is that does he want the challenge and the money, or does he really have a love for Toronto? I think that's probably what it really would end up coming down to.
And when you're in that kind of an industry and you work in front offices for NBA, whether you're coach, VP of basketball operations, whatever the case may be, you do want to win championships and you want to develop something that's sustainable for the team that you're on. But you're always looking ahead to the next challenge. Okay, what's the next challenge? For the Warriors, it's been, okay, let's win it again. Let's win it again. Let's win it again. And let's try to keep this core, which inevitably is not going to keep continuing to work.
No, you're not going to be able to run that out for so long.
Yeah, exactly. But I think as an executive, you could probably ask how many executives want to go and be the guy that is, okay, you say, for instance, we'll use the Wizards as an example. Poorly managed, bad contracts. They're underperforming.
Not a great roster.
You could be the guy that walks in, turns them around and in the NBA, it can happen in as little as 2 years.
Very true. Make right moves.
Now you're a Theo Epstein status.
You do make a valid point.
You're on Theo Epstein status as far as GMs are concerned.
Yeah, because you can turn around not one but two franchises.
The two of the longest championship droughts in Major League Baseball in Boston and the Cubs, and you turn them both around and get championships. That dude is going to be like, they're going to freeze him like Walt Disney and just be like, this dude is going to
figure out how to reanimate you.
Figure out a way to keep him living forever. That dude is going to go down as one of the greatest executives in Major League Baseball history.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you have the chance as Masai Ujiri to do this for not one franchise, but for two, I would absolutely, you're going to want that challenge.
You do make a very, very valid argument here. Very strong argument.
As I normally do.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I know.
But looking at it, I think you've honestly kind of swayed me. It does make a lot of sense that, if you turn around one franchise, awesome, you're great. Turn around a second franchise, you're a legend. So I guess it does make sense. But talking about legends and dynasties and things of that nature, Golden State. Is the dynasty over?
Easy answer is yes, because of this offseason and all the injuries. And is KD going to leave? Clay, for all intents and purposes, is going to re-sign for the max contract he can get. I'm going to say no. It is not. But you have to overlook this next year. So here's why. And I think the reason that this KD injury, what could come out of this for the Golden State? KD goes down, and I thought before the finals, or once this injury happened with his calf strain and what was going to happen.
Right.
I mentioned it on our show. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't win the title that KD stays because he is unfinished business. If they win the title this year, just like with Kawhi, you win the title, I've done all I can do, let me go on to the next challenge. Do something new. KD, technically now they have unfinished business. And if you do that, bring him back, bring Clay back, you've still got Steph under massive contract. You still got another year or so with Draymond Green, 2 years technically, if I'm not mistaken. You could still have that core. Yeah, you're going to have a ton of money tied up in all those players, but you can make a run, not this coming year, because you're not going to get those two guys, like I said, till April, March, April, May, those kinds of things. You're not going to get them till playoff time anyway.
Right.
So you just got to hopefully make sure that Steph Curry and company can keep the boat afloat and keep them in the playoff hunt. So those two come back and they come back 100%. That team is unbeatable. If they are all there and all healthy, that team is unbeatable, which is why they formed it in the first place.
Definitely.
Which is why KD wanted to join that group, because of how good they already were and how
Right.
much better he could make them. So if this is an if that happens, KD comes back, Klay comes back, I don't think the dynasty's over, but
Just postponed.
it's just going to be postponed by a year.
Well, looking at it, Draymond's contract, he only has 1 year left.
So next year's his last year.
Right. Then he'll be an unrestricted free agent.
So he's going to demand a lot of money as well. But if, like I said, KD and Klay both come back, they're going to sit out until probably playoff time.
Mm-hmm.
If they can come back at playoff time and they're sitting right around maybe even a 4 or 5 seed, even a 6, just put them in the finals.
Then you're still going to have Steph and Draymond doing all the work this upcoming season. Steph's still on the contract for another 3 years before he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So I definitely maybe could see this happening. Even if, like you said, you postpone a year, Draymond kind of makes up a little bit of that slack, maybe bring in another player to kind of bring things up a little bit, kind of just buoy it until you can get to that point. Then the next year, whether you keep Draymond or not, you still might have KD, still might have Iguodala. Could really be making some moves.
Iguodala, yeah, I know there's rumors about him and Livingston potentially retiring because they are getting to the end of their careers. But you've got not even that. You got younger guys that are on that roster that can make some noise. Quinn Cook, Alfonso McKinney, Kevon Looney, just to name a few. Those players have all been stepping up big time over the last year, and those kinds of players are going to be the ones that'll help propel Golden State to continue this dynasty until KD and Klay would potentially come back. This is, of course, if KD stays.
Well, the big thing I look at, too, is that with Iguodala, 1 year left. I think, honestly, he'll play out that last year, and then maybe after that, retire. Because I feel that Golden State might try to talk him into saying, just because if you do get KD back, you get Klay Thompson, make sure you get him locked up. Exactly. Try to make some kind of a run, even if you don't have KD and Klay Thompson. You still have Draymond. You still will have Iguodala. So, and, of course, Steph Curry. You know, that's a nice little nucleus there. So, I mean, I think that the dynasty is not dead. You know, we've seen them lose other championship series, turn around, win it the next year.
Right.
So, at the end of the day, I still feel they have it. Now, would they like to have KD? Would they like to have Klay Thompson for this next season? Absolutely. But I don't think everything hinges on those two players being available for any part of the season.
For championship hopes, it absolutely
For
does.
championship hopes, yes. And at that point, though, they would have them back, especially as long as they can make it into playoffs.
But that is also assuming
the
that
big
they
key.
have no setbacks in their recovery, because ACL injuries aren't the end, like they're not the death sentence that they used to be.
No, they're definitely not.
You can come back and play within a year now.
Right.
Achilles ruptures.
That's going to be the big one because it's not even just a tear; it's a rupture.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more damage.
They showed a list on ESPN of players that have come back and how long it's taken them to come back from Achilles ruptures, and it's roughly about 8 to 9 months is about the average. And I mean, think about it. Even if it takes 10 months, we're in June. You're sitting right at the start of playoff time, roughly.
But how many times have we been able to see the Golden State still have success before KD? And that's the big thing I look at is that.
But those teams were made up much differently than these teams are.
And granted, they definitely were. But who's not to say that the Golden State isn't going to try to make those plans, at least for the immediate, to try and shore up things that they can, knowing that KD's not going to be there. If, in fact, they do get him back. Now, if they don't get him back, they're going to have to make plans regardless and try and move on anyways. But either way, I feel Golden State still has the potential. It's just about making the correct moves.
Absolutely.
So as long as they make the correct moves, they definitely could do this. And I think part of it is still going to be making sure Iguodala doesn't retire at least for one more year, to be able to have some kind of nucleus to work with between him, Draymond Green, and Steph Curry.
Yeah, because if he retires, you need a defensive stopper on your team.
Yes.
He is the defensive stopper on their team right now.
Yes.
And with his veteran presence, helps in the locker room. you would need to bring in a guy that is going to be your lockdown defender, but can also contribute somewhat on offense.
Exactly. And not all those kinds of players are exactly plentiful either. However, Golden State does have its own mystique now, so who knows what they might be able to pull off in free agency. But, we'll have to wait and see, and that's what the excitement of the offseason is. But looking at it, we're going to switch a little bit of gears here and kind of take a look at the NBA. Or sorry, before we get to that, there is one more question I did want to ask you.
Oh, one more question.
Just one. Just one.
Still talking Warriors?
We're still talking Warriors because
Okay.
I think this could lend into a lot of things. What should Kevin Durant do though? Should he stay? Should he go?
Here, I've found an interesting piece of information, and you know how much we love to hate on Stephen A.
Oh yes, as much as I can.
And it's really funny because the more I've been listening to him lately in the last month or so, not as crazy as I had said before. But anyway, he brought up an interesting point, which I'm gonna run with. Everybody's talking about, okay, KD can leave and he can go get max deals, and he can get this much money and get a super max. He can get a max from the Warriors or go to another team. Do not forget, he still has a player option on his contract to come back for next year. He could choose to keep this.
That's worth a lot of money, if I'm not mistaken.
$31.5 million. $31.5 million. If he were to accept this, I think he should accept this player option for $31.5 million, rehab, only come back if it's playoff time or if he's healthy. Once he's healthy. Because let's say, for instance, if he goes out now, he can get a max contract that is roughly 35% of next year's projected salary cap, which would give him a deal of about $220 million. But if he were to stay one more year, he can now get a bigger max contract because of how the salary cap issues work out. And he gets to get paid $31.5 million to stay in a winning organization, rehab himself with his own team of doctors and therapists and all that. And he could still have a chance at a championship if he comes back around playoff time and plays well. Now you're a completely unrestricted free agent with no options to worry about. And you have now basically you're going to have a field day of teams that are going to want your services. Not that they aren't already wanting him now. Some of them might be hesitant because of this injury, but they know if they bring him on right now, he's going to get pressured to come back early because it's a new franchise. They're like, say for instance, Brooklyn is the one stopping point that a lot of people are talking about him to go with Kyrie. If they both go there, once it gets around January, management's going to kind of pressure him a little bit. The fans in New York are going to say, hey, KD, we need you back right now. Let's go. We got to win this championship right now. Why not avoid all that? Because you know how he is so great at not interacting with people and not letting things get to him. Obviously, it's a lie because he lets everything get to him.
Yeah, sarcasm. Get it, people.
Those are people that are listening. I mean, if you can't tell from my voice, I'm being sarcastic. But why not stay at a winning organization, get $31.5 million to rehab, still have a chance at a championship, and then you can leave and get a bigger max deal because the Warriors at that point are not going to keep him on, especially with Draymond Green being an unrestricted free agent after next year. This would make so much sense for KD and his camp. But I understand the need for him to want to go to a new challenge and go to a new team and still make a lot of money. I think he would be smarter from a business perspective to stay now.
Oh, yeah.
Say, for instance, his rehab doesn't work as quickly as they're hoping. and he sits out the whole year.
Ooh.
Still getting $31.5 million to sit out a whole year with no pressure, with not as much pressure from the Warriors than he would from a new team.
That we've even seen with how they handled his whole injury in these playoffs. I honestly felt like they did right by him because they were trying to make sure he was as okay as he could be before going into any action. So it might really be the best situation, really just to sit back, get paid, take care of yourself. Don't feel that pressure around an organization you're already used to at this point, and just wait till the next offseason.
And for the Warriors, it would help out big time too because they're going to give Klay a max deal this year. You're going to probably give Draymond Green a max deal next year. If Durant doesn't re-sign a deal this year and just says, "Hey, I'm going to take my player option and we're just going to see what happens next year," because you know at that point he's staying to make his money, get healthy, maybe win a championship, and then he's going to leave.
Right.
But if you're the Warriors, now you're set up a little bit better for the long term because you don't have to worry about, okay, we've got Steph, Klay, and Durant. Now we got to try to find money for Draymond, which isn't going to happen. There's not enough money to go around then.
No, there isn't.
For that many players. So even if this too, if they both get full max deals, Durant would get $38 million next year versus the $31.5, and then Klay Thompson would get $33 million, which he's making much less than that right now.
Yes, much less.
But Draymond Green would be the big issue at that point if they sign Durant. But they're going to offer Durant a max deal, and they're just going to have to. They're saying they're just going to deal with Draymond later.
I mean, it makes sense, but we'll definitely see how it all plays out. So definitely make sure that you stay tuned to all of Final Score social media accounts, and of course, check out our future episodes as we talk about it more. But looking at it though, with the NBA, what's next for the NBA?
Even though the NBA Finals have just wrapped up, within the next 2.5 weeks, free agency kicks off. The moratorium kicks off, and we will see all of these dominoes fall. The big names that are out there right now, of course, Kevin Durant we talked about. Kawhi Leonard's going to be out there. Jimmy Butler, Kemba Walker, Klay Thompson, of course, and Kyrie Irving. Those are just some of the big ones. Plenty of other names out there. But those names, they're going to be really interesting to see where these players end up wanting to go.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting, especially I feel like when it comes down to people like Kawhi Leonard and, of course, Kyrie Irving. That's been one of the big ticket items lately because if you have not been paying attention to anything dealing with the NBA in the past week, what is wrong with you? The NBA Finals just happened. But either way, though, when it comes to Kyrie Irving, he just split from his longtime manager, or agent, I should say, split for him and signed with Rock Nation, which is owned by none other than Jay-Z, who has his own ties to the Brooklyn Nets. So are we seeing this possibly as a precursor of Kyrie Irving going to Brooklyn?
All signs are pointing to yes. They're even saying from reports that he is, like you said, quote, preparing to go to sign with the Brooklyn Nets. He's from that part of the country. He's from New Jersey, I believe. So it makes sense that he would want to kind of go to where he's from. Also, it makes sense because he would then go back to being the guy.
Yes.
They do have a good core of some players around there, but Kyrie would be the guy. And he doesn't have to worry about like Boston's situation where you've got a lot of good players already there.
Right.
That can win without you.
Right.
But this is what he would get what he wants. He would be the number one guy. And of course, the Brooklyn Nets are going to try to go get 2 max free agents.
Of course.
The other one they're eyeing is Kevin Durant, but that's,
I think that might be a little back burner now, maybe at this point.
To some teams, not really.
And that's something I found interesting is that there's a lot of teams that are taking this injury as a non-issue.
Just because of the advances in medicine nowadays, it doesn't take nearly as long, or like we said with ACLs, they're not as bad as they used to be as far as recovery times and if players can ever play again. But they're not really shying away now from this Achilles injury,
Right.
even though it is very bad.
Yeah, very, very, very damaging injury. But just wait till we get to the point where leagues are having their own issued, like biotics, and next thing you know, they're just shooting with metal arms, and being like that machine you saw in that one video where the Chinese engineers ended up making just the robot that could shoot basketballs.
Yeah, we had that on our posted on our Twitter a few months back.
Yeah, that's right.
Jeez.
Yeah, let's hire that guy.
Yeah, hire that.
Or machine. Does it have a gender? I don't know. I really don't know. We're going to leave that bag of worms for another day. But looking at it, though, I definitely think Kyrie Irving is going to end up going to the Brooklyn Nets. It only makes sense. You're going to move into yet an even larger market with an agency that really wants you there and has its own ties. I feel like it's all just like a match made in heaven. Obviously, I feel like this will kind of force out D'Angelo Russell, though. But, he'll find somewhere else to play. Maybe in Orlando. But, see what happens. A lot of things could happen. But looking at it, though, we still have to get through first the NBA draft, which will be Thursday, June 20th. It's definitely going to be really exciting. But before that, there's going to be something coming out.
Yeah, I will be releasing a mock draft on Tuesday. And that'll be covering just the first round. Not going to go too deep into the second round or anything like that. But cover the first round, and the draft will be on Thursday, as you mentioned, the 20th. Not sure if they release any date or times or television. Usually it's on ESPN, so it's probably usually 7, 8 o'clock, something like that.
Yeah, it's going to be Thursday, June 20th. It's going to be emanating from, funny enough, Brooklyn, New York, at the Barclays Center. So it'll definitely be very interesting. It'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern. It will be on ESPN, and you can also stream it live on the ESPN app. Don't try to get tickets. They're retardedly expensive, so I would just stay away from those. But still,
that's
could be exciting.
That's on my bucket list one day.
Well, they said tickets, starting at $86, so,
That's it?
I mean, or you can go up to $906.
If I lived in that area, I would buy an $86 ticket to go to
I'm not going to lie, I'd buy one too, but we're down here in Florida, though. We're talking flights, hotels.
NBA needs to do what the NFL does, and they need to rotate around their draft. That'd be to different cities. I think
it'd be really good.
I think it'd be great if they brought it to Orlando, but that's just me.
Then we could be there to cover it.
Of course.
Naturally.
But yeah, the draft's going to be Thursday. Mock draft will be released on Tuesday, so be on the lookout for that on the FinalScore sports blog.
Yeah, definitely. And then, of course, NBA Summer League be starting Friday, July 5th, and be running until Monday, July 15th. So definitely make sure that you check out the Summer League. It's always an exciting time. See a lot of talent in the offseason, being able to keep warm, getting ready for the upcoming season.
It's one of my favorite times to watch basketball, honestly. I'll glue myself to the TV for that whole stretch, the whole weekend, and basically two different TVs, swap them up, just watch different games if need be. And it's a lot of fun. You can see all the rookies get their first taste of NBA action. Guys trying to make rosters, so it's not just going to be, hey, let's go out and play like an all-star game kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. They're out there trying to impress scouts, impress teams, trying to find themselves a job for next season. And you always see a lot of great talent come out of these summer leagues, so it's going to be really exciting. But you got to enjoy something today, some type of tournament involved with the NBA. What was it? NBA 2K, the ticket?
Yes, we were at the FinalScore was at the NBA 2K tournament, the ticket in Orlando at Full Sail University. I actually was able to take some of our esports team along with, and we went and had a chance to go watch some games, representing the Pistons GT right here, of course.
How far did they make it?
They did not make the tournament this year for the ticket. They did not make the ticket tournament. Magic actually made it to the semifinals.
That they did
tonight. I haven't seen the final game. That was actually, it's on right now, but
yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Get to see a lot of the best 2K gamers out there, and it was a really fun experience. We got to snap some photos, take some videos of the action, and that'll be posted on our social media in the next probably tomorrow, I would imagine. Yeah,
definitely. So make sure that you want to see those pics of Craig down at the NBA 2K tournament, the ticket that emanated from Orlando, Florida at Full Sail. Make sure that you go onto our social media accounts at PCN Final Score. Check those out when those hit tomorrow. But, man, we've been talking so much. We got to pay the power bill, man.
Yeah, we don't want to leave him hanging.
No, we don't want to leave him hanging.
Absolutely
So
not.
we're going to go ahead and go to break. But when we come back, we're going to recap you on the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs that just came to its conclusion, along with some football news. So definitely make sure that you stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Podcast City Network.